you have to know everything about what we do. I even had
Right.
my front desk did all the niche trainings. They knew what to do, how it's going with the playbooks.
Well, it's going, but we still don't have our virtual assistants on board, but I interviewed one yesterday and I really like her, so I believe she's going to come on tomorrow. I have a call bright and early here, but in the Philippines it's late night, so
Yeah.
um, so just trying to work some of that stuff out. But basically, what to pay, what to bonus. I got another call today with the company that's helping me to hire her and maybe one or two others to basically get every little piece of everything that we need to get done at the front desk and reactivation and speed to lead and everything you can imagine for
Good.
all of my little marketing and sales issues that we've been plagued by. But I
Yeah.
do understand it's a totally separate thing from the front desk. There's no way they're getting all that stuff done. So
Yeah. That's exciting.
yeah, very exciting. And hearing your husband talk this morning about putting $20,000 into marketing and getting a 3-4 times return, I'm like, yeah, I'm about ready for that, because I've been spending a lot of money and burning up some cold hard cash. And
Yeah.
again, I'm okay with spending it, but there's got to be the return
Yep.
that makes it happen. So
Exactly. Yep. Good. All right. So how can I help today? What's the best way I can help? You're getting things done. What
getting
questions
things
do you
done.
have?
I think helping me to comb through, I asked AI to help me, draw up a plan for what do I need to train these guys on, what's the whole strategy. Obviously this company's got their ideas of how it's going to go, but I want to get from your brain, Blueprint's brain, what makes the most sense. And obviously they're talking KPIs hardcore all the way through and that kind of thing.
Good.
And one of the things that comes to mind immediately is, as far as bonuses go, I was saying, at first they were saying, well, $3, $5. And I said, well, these people are making like half of what they would make here. So I don't even think that that's right. I think it should be probably half of that amount. But I said, I don't really want a whole bunch of leads converted to be on our books, but not actually come in. So really, I want the focus to be on them getting those people booked, but then doing everything in their power, obviously, that we train them and that we don't train them, that says, I'm going to get this person to come in to the office and get in front of this doctor, And
Yeah.
so I said, I didn't want to bonus them on the front end, or maybe let's say it this way, I'll bonus them very tiny on the front end and very heavy on the getting them into the office. And I said, I don't know what I could do to make them more a part of coming into day 2, with a I'm going to sign on the dotted line kind of thing. But I said, if I can make that metric work, we'll try to bonus you on that too. But I said, really, I think that's more in office at that point, and you've done everything you can do and work on all the rest of the stuff, so
Yeah.
so anything from drip campaigns and training and everything else that you can help lead me to the water, I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah. So are they going to utilize GoHighLevel, I assume?
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, and with the show rate, that obviously is something you would track, but it is something that they can control. We always bonused our front desk on the show rate because it's tone, it's confidence, it's all of those things that really solidify that. So, and if they wanted, I could see them saying, well, we need to know, like, where's the documentation? You can print for us, we could print from our EHR, like a specific appointment type, and showed all the patients who showed, it showed their names so they could cross-reference that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for you, it would be, hopefully just figuring out a way to run a report from your EHR. And then the training is going to be you controlling the scripting. Yes, maybe they know what they're doing, but do they know what they're doing as far as blueprint goes and how to handle insurance objections and all of that? And it's really just being well scripted and knowing exactly what to say, not stuttering or being wishy-washy when they answer. Like that's what's weird is, I'll hear recordings of phone people and they just sound scared and meek and, nervous, which doesn't exude confidence. So the biggest training is just, are they solid on, come here. Are they solid on the scripting? And so we provided scripting anytime that we hired a third party, whether it be, we used Smith AI, we hired like an 18-year-old to just do phones. She actually did a really good job for a while. And so she just had to use our scripting, and we monitored, we listened to phone calls, especially at the beginning, to see how that was going and gave feedback and all of that. So definitely that with GoHighLevel, any phone calls should be recorded. You should be able to review those, but you just need the ability to give feedback to this person, So they might have some ideas, but it's your show. You're the one, you're the employer. So, just make sure that they're following your rules.
Yeah, they're open to anything that I say, and
Good.
obviously I think most doctors, just like I would say the same thing. I don't even know what in the hell I need to do with this person at this level, but really I have 24 years of experience to say I know what they need to do. It's just we're going from a in-person screening at the gym or at a fest, and now they're doing it over the phone and thousands of miles away from each other, but the premise is exactly the same. But now we're scripting it hard, which we've always had a script, but it's kind of like, all right, Anna's going to do her thing, and Dr. Joe's going to do his thing, and the new PR person's going to take a version of that and try to mimic us the best they can. So now we want to automate it the best we can too, and so we can, like you said, dial it in, make sure that they have the confidence. The young lady that I talked to, Rachel is her name. She has done a lot of more behind the scenes things, not to say she doesn't know what to do on the phone, and teaches English as a second language and all this other stuff, but I mean, she's on point, and she's asking me, like, what do you want me to say? Like, you train me to do what you want me to do, and I'm on it, and they're really sounding really hungry for just exactly what we're talking about. So as far as the scripts go, where do I find those? I know they're in here somewhere, but
are they? Yeah, they would be. Are they typed out? That's my question. Let me look.
That's okay. We can get that to be typed out.
I'll get to it. The thing,
okay.
I think the biggest thing that I always teach when I'm teaching phones and when I was training my team, I think the biggest thing is knowing the psychology behind what we do. And what I mean by that is helping them understand that because they won't understand our culture, right? They won't understand that, the whole concept behind, that we all expect insurance to pay for everything. While you might bill out for adjustments, you don't bill out for everything, but all we want is the opportunity to meet, and we will educate them. So I always told my team, you need to know what we do at the office, but you don't say it. Right. So you have to know everything about what we do. I even had my front desk did all the niche trainings. Like, they knew what to do. They knew what to say, but I said, you have my full permission to play dumb as far as, not giving away too much information on the phone.
Right. Like you said, their job is to get them in, not to dissuade them from insurance and all this other gobbledygook.
They still need to be knowledgeable, right? I mean, they still need to know what you do and understand the big picture. Like, that's important for her to understand the big picture. And the other concept is I would relate to her and say, in our country, we would never call what we call our primary care doctor, right? We would never call them and talk to the receptionist and say, hey, I have XYZ. I have strep. What is the doctor going to do to treat me and how much is it going to cost? We would never do that. But for some reason with chiropractors, people think that it's a one size fits all and that they can get all this information ahead of time. And that's just not how it works. We're not going to tell you how we don't know how the doctor's going to treat it. And he or she has to diagnose you. And so, the best thing for you to, now we would never say that. I'm not giving you scripting. I'm just saying that it's good for her to understand the mindset and the psychology and the big picture, because it helps know how to get the patients in the door. You want to be, kind and warm and friendly, above and beyond, like customer service. Don't sound too formal, sound real. When they're really like scripted and formal and overly professional, it sounds very distant. It sounds like the person isn't present. Mm-hmm. And so we want to stand out as, we want the person to hang up and be like, wow, she was so nice. That's the goal. So I think that part of that training for her is not just giving her scripting, it's understanding the big picture of why we do what we do and the little nuances that are going to come with it, for sure.
Makes sense to me. I know a couple of objections come to mind, obviously about the insurance, about the cost and that kind of stuff. So I'll give you my version of what I think it's going to say, and you can fire back at what you think that should be said. But how much is this going to cost? And I heard the insurance is going to cover this, and they kind of whip all that stuff into one sentence. And what I think should be said is the insurance is going to cover a piece of it, but when you come in, the doctor's going to go through the exam and history, and they're going to figure out what exactly is going on so that they can show you what is going to be covered and what is not going to be covered. Well, I want to know what Medicare is going to do. I heard Medicare is not going to cover anything neuropathy unless it's a drug or a piece of equipment. I went to the show. I get what they're going to say, and they said it's a big cost. So what is the cost? And the cost is going to depend on exactly how nasty the situation is, So.
Yeah, there's no way for me to know that. That's up to the doctor. There's no way for me to know that. And the best thing you can do is come in and meet the team, meet the doctor, and you will have all the information you need at that point. And the other thing is to keep in mind, and this is again kind of the mindset and psychology of it, is that they're afraid that they're going to come in and get hit with this big bill too. Mm-hmm. A lot of people just want to make sure, that they are not getting hit with a big bill. And so we always reassured them, don't worry, you're paying the, whatever it is, $79 for the exam. Mm-hmm. That includes blank, 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 like value stack, that it's going to include all these and have them list out the things. At that point, the doctor will make a determination of what your treatment should be, and that's when we'll know all the information about the cost. So don't worry, you'll never be charged a dime without your knowledge, and they will go over all of that once you've gone through the process and had an exam. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are just afraid that they're going to come in and get charged $3,000 for an exam, like hidden fees and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And then as far as insurance goes, we expect Medicare to pay for adjustments, and everything outside of that, the doctors and the staff will go through all that. But I think that's even too much information, portion, I don't know. What would you say to that?
Yeah, you want to sound knowledgeable, but you don't want to give away any information. So it really is just reassuring the patient and then getting them on the schedule. So it's, don't worry, you're going to get all that information. What's the treatment? Unfortunately, there's no way for me to know specifically what treatment you will get. It's not a one size fits all. After you've been through the process and had the exam, at that point, the doctor will put a care plan together for you, and then they'll explain everything of what your treatment will be. Mm-hmm. Because you do want that reassurance. If you slide past these objections and don't say anything and just try to get them to schedule, right, the patient's going to feel like it's scammy, right?
Right, that doesn't work either.
No, so they have to know enough to be able to reassure the patient. That's their whole job, is to reassure the patient they've been called the right place. We even say that, if they are sharing a little bit about their symptoms. Wow, Bob, thank you so much for calling. It sounds like you've definitely called the right place. I have an opening for tomorrow. Can you come in then? Like, just really immediately transitioning to, I have an opening on this day and time. And I don't like saying the scripting will teach, do you prefer mornings or afternoons? I didn't even say that. My team was trained to say, I have Wednesday at 3 or Thursday at 9 a.m. Which one of those would work better for you? Well, I can't do Wednesdays or Thursdays. Okay, no problem. It looks like we have an opening Friday as well. And give a time. Because if you're giving a day and a time, they're going to start thinking about their calendar and they're going to get distracted. You know what I mean? If you're just like, do you prefer mornings or afternoons? It's not as specific,
Yeah, it's too wide open. I agree with that.
Yep. So they always had to have the schedule open, and they always had to give them 2 options, like the first available morning, first available afternoon. Never scheduling too far out, of course.
And then as far as, does the doctor treat XYZ? Obviously they have to know, categories of things and where things fit in. But at the same time, I mean, if I were taking on the position and answering the calls, then it's like, how the hell do I know what some subset of sciatica or some, tibial nerve problem or whatever, peroneal nerve, it's like, why would I even know that? So,
Yep.
Sounds like something that the doctors treat. This is what the doctors schooled in, all these different nerve problems and neuralgias and pains and blah blah blah. So we're gonna get an appointment set so we can answer all of your questions.
Yeah, very close. So I had our team, especially when it came to neuropathy, I had our team memorize an elevator speech. Basically, it's an elevator pitch, a 2 to 3 sentence explanation of why he specializes in disc issues, how he specializes in neuropathy. So specifically, right, if we're calling to schedule neuropathy, I'm gonna, so it was something like, is he a chiropractor? Because you get that a lot. Well, Dr. Kingsbury first received his doctorate in chiropractic. However, for me, it's so easy, right? Because he's brilliant. But I would say something like he first received his doctorate in chiropractic, but went back and received 3 diplomates after that, which means he got 3 degrees after his doctorate. And he specializes in neuropathy. And then I would say why he specializes in neuropathy. I don't have it memorized anymore. I wish I did.
Yeah.
But create an elevator speech, use ChatGPT to help with the wording because you want it to be concise and powerful, but laminate it and give it to your team, but also obviously email it and have that information for this person.
I will virtually laminate it, Kelly. If you tell me to virtually laminate
I know, right? I said laminate. I'm like, we're talking about a VA, never mind. But my team had it laminated.
Front
right?
desk too needs to know it, and case managers and all that. So
yeah, they need to
obviously
have that
anything
memorized.
that we're doing, it goes across the whole board. I get it, So.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because you want that language. You want that same similar language when they come into the office. So yeah, they need to be able to explain why you're the expert or why the team, if you have some pretty impressive credentials with your associates, include that. Like you can say globally, our providers, blah, 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 right? So
400 years of experience.
Exactly. Combined. So yeah, so have an elevator speech on why they specialize in those things. And then they do need to know, she needs to know enough about the niches to understand if this is something you can help with, right? Like for example, something that might be confusing that I always helped our team understand is TMJ. I have really severe jaw pain. My doctor told me it's TMJ. Well, we could treat that. Blaine knows how to do trigenics on the jaw. It's really painful, but effective. I had TMJ or the second summer we were together. And then we also had the neuromed, and the neuromed treated it. So we treated TMJ. Well, not everybody does, not all chiropractors do. And so little things like that, plantar fasciitis, those kinds of terminology, I would give her a list and have her memorize it because as she's hearing these things, it's not like she can put them on hold and go down the hall
Right.
and ask you, you
No.
know. So making sure she's prepared in that way would be good as well.
Any other questions that, like commonly asked questions that you think come to mind? Obviously, I'm sure you're gonna give me a whole boatload, and I can ask AI for a boatload, and I will. But I'm just trying to pare it down the best that I can, so that, you know, when the VA company comes back at me and says, "This is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna do it," and then I'm gonna say, "Okay, I want this, 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 and this." And there's actually a company, an American company, that will handle the front end of, you know, speed to lead, 9 to 5. They can handle all this stuff.
Okay.
You know, outside of that, they don't handle it. They won't call out on from a list. They won't reactivate. And it's like, yeah, I know we got all this other stuff for the virtual assistant. So I'm very interested in both, but either way, I still have a month of lead time where they're not even gonna be able to jump into this for lead time. But long story short, one of the things they said was, you know, we're very passionate about chiropractic. Like, we want all of our people at the front end here to know this is why you're doing what you're doing, and this is what you're trying to accomplish. And so they're like, everybody here is just gangbusters on this.
Good.
Obviously, I need my virtual assistant to be exactly the same way, or anybody that's working, you know. So
Yeah.
one of the people that we need to fire, and have needed to fire for a long time now, is somebody that just recently, pretty much because she knows her head's on a chopping block, even has gotten an adjustment, you know. And it's like, total numbskull, D- player. I get it, needed to go a long time ago, but like you said, my wife and the staff can only carry so much at once, and literally, despite all this crap, we're still growing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
awesome, you know. I mean,
Right.
obviously sheer willpower, but it's
Yeah,
not.
you're doing something right.
Yeah, we're getting our butts kicked, and my wife is DOA, I'm DOA. I mean, it's just, you know, we're on fumes, but I don't care, whatever, you know. We'll keep pushing for another couple weeks, and then we're gonna hand everything off as much as we possibly can, and then, like you said, now let's come through it again and say, you know, this is what we handed to you, so how do we follow up on all that, you know? So but any other things to train off the top of your head that you're like, oh, this is a must, you have to have them like this? Because I think I'm already, like you said, I'm already thinking, even though there's a 13-hour time difference, oh, they know what we know, that their culture is similar, and all. It's like, it's not similar, you know.
Yeah.
It's not an island, you know. It's virtually what's happening here. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think to your point, just understanding chiropractic, you know, knowing the benefits and understanding it, and is chiropractic a thing there, you know, kind of making sure that she's bought into the philosophy of it at least a little bit. And honestly, I think that it would be really nice if you could schedule her to join the team meetings virtually,
okay.
right? That would be so great for her to feel like she's part of a team and understand the people and get to know you and get to know the team. You know, that's going to make a difference too.
Yeah.
And then, you know, all of us knowing each other's names, like they need to know her name. And that way, when, you know, that was a big thing for us, is they had a code word. Smith AI had like everyone was Jessica or whatever, like they all had the same, they just called themselves that, and if they said that, then we knew who it was. But the first time we didn't tell we didn't know, and our team was like, who? Like, yeah, I spoke to so and so, and our front desk was like, who? It's like, oh, don't say that. Like, you know, we have a third party. Like, so just making sure there's no disconnect in that way. But yeah, I think just, you know, being bought into the philosophy and knowing what you do there. I don't think there's really anything else that you can add. I think that as time goes on, it'll come to you, you know, if you're like, oh, by the way, let's train on this, you know what I mean? Is she going to have access to Lightspeed? Are you going to add her as like a team member?
I don't know. I mean, it makes sense to
Okay.
me. I don't know if it's too much information or what, give her pieces of it or something, but
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can ask the coaches if that's something they've done. Let me ask right now. Okay. Yep. So I'll ask right now and I'll let you know.
okay.
Giving a VA access to light speed training. Okay, perfect. I just asked. So I'll let you know what they say. I mean, to me, it makes sense. I just want to make sure I'm not missing something.
Yeah.
But to me, it would make sense. We have that entire phone training portal. But I still would give her a typed out script. And that's something your team is obviously doing a good job. So I would have your team refine it. Is there anything we need to add or subtract? Make sure it's up to date and all of that, and then give that to her. Because we certainly used the blueprint phone scripting. There were like 2 little nuances that we changed.
Yeah.
That made more sense for our office, right? We did not accept insurance. So we didn't say, oh, we accept all insurances. We changed it a little bit. We didn't say we don't accept it, but we didn't say we do. We had something a little bit different, so that we weren't blatantly lying. So I would have your team put together the script. Feel free to send it over before you give it to her. If you want me to take a peek at it, I'd be happy to. But yeah, I'll find out if they can join, if she can join Lightspeed, because that would be helpful.
Alrighty.
Yeah, this is exciting. Good. So what's the next step? What are you going to be working on next after this?
Obviously working on that training protocol and scripting and that kind of thing. And like I said, I have some other calls, so I'm sure I'm gonna be filtering some more information into my little portfolio to hand to them.
Good.
And I know that
you're working on more than one playbook at a time, right?
Yeah, sort of, but this is my concentration first, because it's a big problem also. And we did hire somebody yesterday for the front desk to replace the non-hacking front desk.
Gotcha.
But she's going to Poland. We'll be back in a couple weeks, and then she'll be on board and ready to roll. So
perfect.
We're very much looking forward to that.
Good. That'll be good.
Like a very lead person, and we've been missing it for a good year and a half or so, and
yeah,
it's shown. There's no question about that. So
yeah, good. Well, there's an implementation checklist for M1. So that's an easy way to kind of start checking that off and see where you're at. Next week, I think it would be good can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Next week, it would be good to, oh, stop. My 17-year-old is calling me repeatedly. That can't be good. Okay. Well, I would say next time, show me that.
Yeah.
That checklist.
I know we're having trouble with getting all the stats, for instance, because I don't have the virtual assistant taking that over, and the front desk isn't there yet, but I will at least say this is how I'm going to do it, or I'm going to have them do it,
Yeah.
And pull all that stuff out. But all the GoHighLevel stuff is just laying and tumbleweeds in the dust of money and not being followed up on. So that will be.
Oh yeah. So drip campaign, literally, this is how you do it. And I know this is a total cheat, but I told it, this is what I want to accomplish. I'm going to be sending out I need 7 total messages. I want to alternate between text and email. It's going to be every 2 to 3 days. I want them to have a similar message, but I want them to sound different. I don't want them to be repetitive. I want them to sound like a real person is texting. Here's the gist, and I would tell it what I wanted to say. I would tell it to use tactics of Jeremy Minor, because ChatGPT will know enough to do that. But I literally create my drip systems with ChatGPT.
Yeah, I had a feeling I have already told it to do that. Haven't really gotten into it because it was like 10 pages long or whatever. But
yeah.
there's something created. I just haven't played with it. Same thing with the training for the VA. I mean, it's created. I just haven't dug into it to say, all right, this is the way I would do it. This is mine. And that's, you know, like you said, those are my next steps. Get that person hired, then whip them into the training and the follow-up and all that, you know.
Yeah. So. And they should know how to do those drip campaigns. It's not difficult the automations that you can do. Right. So they should know how to create campaigns and get those older leads touched. You just want to be different. You know, you want to sound like a human, because people are going to hit stop the second that it looks like spam. So that I would literally tell ChatGPT that I don't want people to opt out, make this sound like a real person. Mm-hmm. I even had it say, this is so-and-so from Dr. Brannigan's office, you know. Okay. Have them give it a name and just make it sound really personal, and that always helps.
If you feel stuck in your practice, working harder but not further, hit subscribe. We break down how to fix that one constraint at a time in every video.